Welcome to the Impact Effect podcast this week. I am fired up because we've got a special guest. Cassie Lemon is in the house with Let's Jam. And not only is she a friend, family member, but she's an amazing community member. We're going to dive into her impact today. So welcome, Cassie Lemon.
Thank you, Jim. Thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Let's go. So first question, as always, how do you define impact and how do you show up in the world and provide impact today?
Yes. I believe that the word impact is the results of an action. I believe that we assign meaning to that impact as a society, but in general, just the word itself is a result or a consequence or a delivery from an action. And how I show up in this world to make an impact is really through who I am as a being and my stand for love, but how that really has been able to be as a deliverable is through Let's Jam. And although we are a cannabis company, we are really rooted in people just being educated on what their options are when it comes to different health options and wellness options, and so that the individual can truly feel empowered to make the best decisions for themselves when it comes for their health. And so that's who we are for the community, and that's our impact, is just empowering people to reclaim and continue on their health and wellness journey in this world.
I love it. It's so powerful, and especially in today's world with the transition of education around cannabis and what it can do and what it can provide for folks, especially those folks that have experienced things like side effects and big pharma. And, it definitely strikes a chord with me and my parents with, their prescription addiction and prescribed by the doctor. And my mom loves your jam. So that's definitely a plus. But
Yeah.
so you're talking about spreading the love and the education side of it. How do you differentiate from the cannabis company that just sells you this crazy bag of weed and you get really high and it's recreational?
Yeah, well, one thing that I have been talking with a few people and even working within myself, right, is that cannabis has an image problem. And so that's what we're really working on, is rebranding this plant. And so different people come to the plant for different reasons and purposes. And I think even my stand on recreational use is still medical use. It doesn't take away the medicinal aspects of the plant. But for one thing, our company that we stand for is really using full spectrum products. And so we believe that if you're going to use the plant to help support your body, having the plant in its entirety is important in delivering that. That can also create other barriers. So again, things like a broad spectrum where THC has specifically been extracted, that might be a possibility for somebody, again, that's looking for a plant-based resource that doesn't have THC in it, because our product does have low levels of THC. Like, people, again, will ask me, will this show up on a drug test? I'm like, please do not take our product. Although, again, our product is not designed to take you into the atmosphere. It's really helped to support your body. That is there because we believe that all of those together, and what you're hearing in this field is called the entourage effect, where, again, how all of those actually play together to bring that relief, that balance, that regulation into your body. So I think it's just really important. And then you have isolates, again, where things are potentially infused with just one potential cannabinoid, which, again, has a place in that. But that's what makes us a little bit different. Again, thinking of like holistic, thinking of the whole plant and its intact and its entirety. But again, comparing it, an edible, to even smoking it or consuming it a different way, all of that is absorbed differently and processed differently in the body. So it's really, I just say, slowly come into it. Again, educate yourself on what different options are, how that also is absorbed in the body, and what might work best for you. And there's really great resources out there. I always share a book. I can't even think of the author's name, but A Woman's Guide to Cannabis, I think, is one of the best books that I have read in giving just high level breakdowns of just information of consumption, the different cannabinoids, full spectrum, broad spectrum, isolates, all those types of different things. So,
Nice.
so yeah, that's what I say is just ask, like, the amount of people that are out here consuming right now, and you just don't know until you put it out there. So it's not scary to just maybe reach out if you have a friend. That's what's been kind of cool working some of the markets is like people just seeing me as a resource to come up and ask. And so go into some of these dispensaries out here. Dispensaries might have a little bit more of a different knowledge base than a smoke shop, but I'm not also saying that smoke shops won't know their knowledge as well. But just get into conversations with people and really start working on breaking that down and just learning about what this plan is and what it can do.
When did you start to educate yourself
Yeah.
around this?
Yeah, that's such a great question. I did not start really, I would say, until 2019, serving in education. I had previously used cannabis off and on at times. I first tried it in college. But right, more of that like concept of recreational, which really, again, looking back, I was managing stress, anxiety, these things that actually brought me back to the plant, working in education. And I just at that time did not have the skills to really just create balance in myself. And so I would stay up a lot, constantly reflecting on how I showed up for people that day. And so I really started with CBD, looking at, okay, what is something that's going to help me just sleep? And I did find that when I used it, I woke up in the morning feeling more rested. However, I still was having a hard time actually flipping the switch in my brain, which for me, that's why I then started exploring potential products that had a little bit higher THC level than just straight CBD. To this day, I gravitate a lot towards a higher CBD content in a lot of the things I consume because of mainly starting to medicate for insomnia. So I like really, for me and my body, those things connect my brain back to my body. And that's how I know, like, okay, we're here. We're here. And that's, I think, another really cool thing about this plant is, for me, how it's actually brought me more into the present moment and getting connected to what is really my body trying to communicate to me right now in this moment.
And how does cannabis do that for you?
Yeah, like it just
Like how does so let's jam.
Yeah.
What do you put your jam on? What's your favorite item?
Man.
Ice
Because
cream?
I eat it on everything. Yeah, I really think ice cream is my favorite. This Christmas, because I had one of actually our friends tell me that he would wake up in the night and add it to his milk and use his frother and kind of make it like a milkshake. So I tried that for my Santa Claus reel, and that actually might low-key be one of my new favorite ways of consuming it. But
so you have jam.
Yeah.
That's what you sell. Let's Jam, obviously.
Right.
You use it. It helps you understand your body. Tell me about like what does that process look like? So you mix it in a shake. You put it on ice cream. You put it on toast. You put it on anything that you would put a sweetener or a jam on.
Yeah.
You consume it, and then tell me more.
So that's, I think, the beautiful thing about the plant, again, is what does it need for you and your body? So like I said, when I first started was using CBD for sleep aid.
Yeah.
I actually now use CBD more as a movement aid. So I teach water aerobics, and I am very intentional about eating my jam before I teach. So that will be usually my bagel or toast, or I do sometimes do a chocolate protein shake and add like a tablespoon and a half in that. I've even just dropped it in my water as a sweetener and gone. But for me, what I typically notice, again, right, because I come back into my body halfway through my workout, I'm like, oh, I can touch my toes easier. And due to CBD's inflammation fighting properties, I'm believing that the inflammation is going down in my joints. So it actually gives me a greater range of motion in my workout. So it just helps me continue to keep my body in motion. Sometimes too, if I come back and I'm like, okay, that maybe was a little too much, I can also then have the power to take a little bit more to help support my body transitioning back out of being out of motion. and movement. So that is a lot of how I consume it today. But like I said, people will eat it off the teaspoon or off of, a spoon for sleep. I have a lot of people, again, that talk about it for sleep aid. I've had more and more women come up to me and talking about how much they like it during a certain time of month. Again, because it has the sweetness to it and it's a jam. Like you said, you can add it to anything. Like part of why we designed it was to make it feel like you weren't adding something else.
So you've had customers come to you and say, "I'm on my period and I've eaten jam and it's helped me. This cannabis product has helped me."
Oh, I think one of still my best stories or my favorite stories, I should say, from this season was I was pulling into one of the markets that I sell, and one of the workers at the market came up and she was like, "Thank God you're here. I just started today and I just finished the jar of jam." And so I was just like, yes, thank you. Because I was able to deliver, right? There's my impact. I'm able to produce a product then that truly helps people and helps give them relief, regulation, comfort, which is what we're here to do. We're trying to provide an alternative so that people can access that if that's what they so choose. And so if she chooses to take our product over Midol,
So with your product being cannabis derived in an industry that's extremely new from a governmental perspective, from a taxation perspective, from an economic perspective, I think we're only 15 years with a legal state or something like that.
Yeah, depending
Colorado
on what your comparison.
yeah.
Well, California went medical back in 1996 or 1998 is when they passed it for medical uses. So we've had a few years, but as Colorado was the first to go recreational as the states.
So with the economic pressure, the regulations, the laws, all the things that are constantly changing in the cannabis industry, what are some of the situations as a business owner and some of the analysis and threats to your business are you seeing with some of the law changes, and especially here in Tennessee, considering that it's not fully legal for recreation? Can you share kind of some of those?
Yeah.
Because this is, and everybody listening, I want you to be very intentional around this next segment and reflect it back to your business or your side hustle or whatever, because the reality of it is Cassie chose an industry that's extremely volatile in regulation. Let's just be real about that. But her passion, her fire, her impact, that positive impact, that story that she just shared with us just now is why she's battling some of those changes, why she's showing up daily, why she's thinking creatively around how she can continue to provide that positive impact with all these different regulations and changes for the consumer, for our community. So my question to you today is, let's hear the real, honest, vulnerable truth around some of the struggle navigating, because a decision could be made and you could not have a business tomorrow potentially.
Yeah, pivot.
Capital P, capital I, capital V.
It's just bold, I truly believe that I am just the vessel that is delivering this for the community. And because I've always said that this wasn't about me, that has been my driver. So continue to hear the stories, right, of what our product does for others is the fuel to keep us fighting.
Well, I think what you're saying is the passion on the front end and your due diligence on the front end put you in a situation where you knew this was going to be a struggle walking into it.
Yes.
You knew that you are an outlier in a new industry, a new governmental, ideation around where their hand goes and where their hand doesn't go and all of that. So I understand that you're prepared, but I also know that business and entrepreneurship comes at you and you can fucking prepare as much as you want and fucking everything can be gone in an instant or in a change.
Yeah.
So how are you managing that? Are you seeking new partners? Are you looking for different opportunities? Do you have a backup plan in place?
Yeah, it's again, like I said, it's about pivoting and just always having that conversation. But for me, because I knew this is where it came back, thank you. Because I knew that this was for the community, I've always stepped into this with how do I create sustainability? How do I create sustainability? How do I create sustainability? And so, really, for me, thinking of 2025, that again is like something that I'm really looking at. How do I create sustainability? So, so it's required again, like the capital that I have made during the 2 years I've been doing this now has gone right directly back in. Like I launched a website. Um, ooh, October. I got my all licenses February. I launched the website October of 2023. Again, thinking about how can I reach my audience? How can I get this into the hands of people? So I've just constantly been thinking about, okay, what's the next step to actually help grow and get this into the hands of individuals? Okay, now we have this. How do I get people to come into here? So
But didn't something happen with your website?
it did. It did.
So
My
like
website got shut down. Yeah.
this is but this is what I want you to share with the
Yeah.
audience, because we think about like,
Yeah.
oh, okay, I'm gonna go start a marketing company, and that's really hard, and there's all these things coming at me, but a marketing company doesn't have regulation like a cannabis
Yeah.
company. A marketing company doesn't say, hey, you can send this email today, but not this email tomorrow,
Yeah.
or you can create this content, but not this tomorrow, where your business does.
Yeah.
And you're talking about your positive impact. You're talking about bringing it to the community. And in my head, I'm thinking,
Oh,
but
I
Cassie,
mean-
you called me and told me your website got shut down
yeah.
for multiple days.
Oh man, and I sold more that weekend than I did with the website up, which is so wild. Like, I mean, Jim, there's just example after example. The first market I was going into, I got canceled by Venmo because I was a cannabis company and set it up. So then all of a sudden I only could accept Cash App and Cash. I couldn't get a POS system. Part of the reason why I went to the website and why I waited, Shopify finally went cannabis friendly. I went with Shopify. The day I was about to launch my website, found out that I can't use their POS system because I'm a cannabis company. I have to pay an extra X amount of dollars a month for a third party company just to run a POS system.
Yeah.
No other no other like non cannabis industries having to pay for this third. Well, I shouldn't say that. There could be other industries out there, but
yeah,
so yes,
additional
there's
expense.
just website got shut down because I had actually used someone on Fiverr to create it. Found out she manipulated and copied a theme, so that was a money, and it came through conversations. Like every hurdle though is what I found. Like the more that I stop trying to figure it out myself, and the more that I get into conversation with people that have either been here or know more or might have experienced more, that is what has kept me going. And right now, yes, with laws and regulations changing, I am really looking at moving manufacturing to West Virginia. That was always something that was really important to me, is being able to bring jobs back to my home state. And I had it like written out in the business plan, but it was not in year 3. So, but the crazy
Here we are.
here we are. And the crazy thing with that, and thinking about, okay, I started kind of pulling up regulations and laws, and I was like, and that the idea came from a conversation. I did a collaboration with Moonflower, which is another female owned. It's a West Virginia owned, and a Wesleyan graduate. So we both graduated from the same alma mater, and I just was like, hey, I had a friend that connected us and was like, hey, let's do a collaboration for homecoming. Went up, got to like meet them, look at their facilities, and through their conversations, learn like, regulations might actually be a little bit easier to navigate in West Virginia than they are in Tennessee.
Yeah.
Here, that was October. Randomly had a conversation with a friend I hadn't had in a while, on my way back home from Thanksgiving, being like, hey, this is something that's really been on my forefront. She was like, oh, let me connect you with a Connect in Charleston, West Virginia. I had a conversation with him on Monday. I had another business coach call on Friday from a woman in the location where I'm looking at going to. So like, it's all through conversations. It's all through like.
But I think the biggest thing is it's not just conversations that are just coming to you every day, or people are like flooding into you. It's you're showing up, you're
Yeah.
practicing the magic trick in hopes to make let me say that again because I'm getting really excited. You're practicing the magic trick in order so magic can occur, right? Like you're showing up, you're going and getting the conversations, you're asking, you're receiving. And I think that's the lesson here is like, we know human connection is important. If you've listened to Impact Effect podcast, it's in every episode it comes up because I do think it's the through line to grow business. And I do think it's the easiest and most joyful way to have success in business. And, you know, I just want to point out the fact that you're going and saying, okay, I have a problem or I have a situation or I may need a pivot, and you're thinking about it, and then you're reaching out and asking for help or seeing who can connect you and just sharing what you're going through. And I think that's the biggest lesson here is everybody's going through something. And if you think you're alone and if you think you're going to hold it in, it's going to just exponentially pile up and get bigger and worse and worse and worse and worse. So ask a friend, send a text message, hell, post on Facebook a question, and all of a sudden you've got 2 or 3 DMs, and all of a sudden you may have to do some work. It may be a friend of a friend. You may need to follow up because this other person doesn't know you, right? But you've got to put in that effort and build that human connection, and ultimately you get those solutions, you get those opportunities, and you have those conversations, which in turn you're sharing value, you're sharing experience, you're sharing knowledge. And you can now show up for them. They can show up for you. People feel heard. People feel seen. And true human connection starts to develop and build. And when you have those go-tos, that leverage point starts to expand as well. And your leverage starts to become bigger because those assets are humans. It's not capital. It's not tech. And humans will go to bat for you. Humans will show up for you. And humans will make shit happen for you. But I also think, Cassie, you got to be a good person. You've got to show up for them. You've got to care. And I think you are a perfect image of someone who does that, and you should receive that back. And I think that's the other piece is like when you call people and you're always just badgering and asking and looking to receive and get and grab and I need this and that, and you really don't give a shit about someone, you don't get those types of solutions solved as fast. And I've been in both spectrums of it. I've been the dude that just hits you up for everything and doesn't really give a shit about you. It's not a great place to be. And when I do a lot of self-reflection, I'm always analyzing relationships in that way. Am I actually providing value? Am I actually checking in? And do I actually care about this person? And do they care about me? And I think we can all grow from that. But once you start to build your human connection pipeline, and I say pipeline because I think there's so much value to it. I'm not talking about monetary value, like we're putting in a CRM, right? I'm talking about a pipeline of love. I'm talking a pipeline of friendship. I'm talking a pipeline of opportunity, of success, of people pushing you back in course when you need it most. Right? I just had a meeting with a couple friends yesterday, and we ended up hanging out, and we were chatting about the fact that, you know, one of our friends is going through a lot and kind of has, you know, come out and come back in, but we've always been there checking in and asking, even if he, you know, he's in his shit and he doesn't respond. And it's frustrating, right? Like, I want to know, are you good? Are you not good? How can I help? Blah, blah, blah. But what he ultimately said to both of us was, you know, I really appreciate this more than anything because there's a lot of people that don't check in and don't push me. And I know that I can go to you when I need you, and we're here hanging out and I need this most right now. And I think those relationships are just so much more impactful and bring positive impact than reaching out and asking for things. You know, and look back on some of the conversations and some of your friendships and do an audit and analyze. You know, I did that about 6 months ago, and I realized there's someone that only hits me up and asks me marketing questions in my life. And I thought we were friends. I thought we were cool. You know, Caitlin talks to their wife, and, you know, but it's just surface level. I need something. Let me get a resource from you. And, you know, sometimes we need to make those decisions of, is that a relationship? Is that true human connection? And in that situation, it's a leverage tool for that person. There's not truth in there. There's not friendship in there. So I wanted to highlight the fact that you've got to show up the way you show up, Cassie. You've got to be there for people. You've got to step in and really care about them, not care about what they can provide. And I think you do an exemplary job of that. And I think that's why when you see these big issues in your business, like regulation and I need to move manufacturing and skyrocketing costs and website shutdown and all these things,
Yeah.
the first step is reaching out, and I think
Yeah.
that's a big hurdle for a lot of people.
Yeah.
If the first step is you don't feel like reaching out, or you're nervous or you're scared, then reach out and provide value for the person before you ask them to provide value for you. And I think that's the first thing, is like, go give and give and give and give if you don't feel like ever asking, because once you start to give and once you start to realize that both people are typically going to receive in that process, through conversation, through ideation, through different opportunity. Maybe I go meet with you and someone's with you, or you're having lunch with someone or ending a meeting, and then we connect. Like, there's been so many of just those opportunities that have just exhilarated my growth, my motivation, my inspiration. And I think you've just got to really focus on how you show up first.
Yeah, and that's exactly, we were talking a lot about the relationship piece, but it has all started with me. Like, I have really.
Let me ask you this, Cassie. When you say it's all started with you, are you talking about you working on yourself before working on how you interact with others? Or are you talking about,
Yeah, I mean, I have really, yeah, I've looked at where has my thinking kept me limited and stuck, and where does that thinking then translate to my inability to communicate? And so I have really had to be confronted with a piece of my identity that has really kept me rooted in believing that, like, I am not worthy. So I have created throughout my life survival techniques that's always proving that I'm worthy, that I'm supposed to be here. And through that, what it's also created is impact on my communication, where then I've withheld from individuals. I will manipulate, I will convince, I'll try to appear to be smarter than people, all because that's rooted in this child that's inside,
yeah,
that's trying to prove that I'm worthy to be here. And so what I really honestly in all of this work and coming into entrepreneurship is that I've had to confront that little girl and be like, you are worthy. And that has unleashed and broken the chains of communications now, and it's not just in my business. I mean, this is with every relationship in my life. I have been more free in the past 2 years by really seeing how my thinking of myself has kept me stuck from experiencing life.
when you say other people, not just in business, is that like family members? Is
Oh
that
man, yeah,
like past
yeah.
relationships? Is that
It's
new
everything.
relationship? It's
Yeah,
everything, yeah.
it's everything. Like
So you've taken it,
I,
not you've taken it from the business side into the personal side, understanding that you're working on yourself in order to grow both.
yeah, and
Wow.
and
Wow.
not and
That's
and then
profound. It's
it's
brilliant.
not even about growing both anymore. It's about just continuing to expand me,
Yeah.
and by expanding me,
Both grow.
everything that I touch is expanded. And that has been, again, that is what I have been working on. And being an entrepreneur is what has put me in the situation that's challenged me the most in overcoming that thinking, I would say. Where when I used to work in education in schools, right, I'm still executing and delivering. It's so easy to get into routines, where, not saying that there were not challenges and things to overcome moment and moment and step by step, but like, here though, being in a position where I truly know that I have control and power, because this is again something that it's being delivered through me, has really put me in that space to confront that. And that is really what has pushed me then to come into those conversations. That's what's pushed me And it's not that I'm still not confronted. I mean, I'm still in rooms.
You're a cannabis
I
company.
mean, I am a woman in cannabis. I am in room with all men. And I have realized again in my life and how I have always made myself smaller, in particular around men. And again, not that that's just how a survival technique. And so I represents myself to like, no, I'm here, right? I am worthy to be in this room just as much as anyone else in this space.
Yep.
And so me stopping myself from believing that I'm not supposed to be here. And it's one thing to show up. I mean, Jim's helped me network at events where I was like, I'm not going to go in. And he's like, no, you need to go in. And he was my warm up.
I forgot about that.
Yeah, right? Because I already had another responsibility. And that's the other thing I've learned, right? We're going to be so limited as one person. It takes team. Like, Let's Jam is not Cassie. And I know I'm talking about it as Cassie, but I have also been able to do the things I've been able to do in the past 2 years. And again, looking at moving again, because I have learned that by having other people step in and continue to support your drive for the mission and them owning it themselves, that is what is going to take this company that is the company. But I mean, I showed up and then I still was like, I don't want to get out of the car. Like, and then you're like, oh, it's a room full of dudes. I'm like, I really don't want to get out of the car, like here I am, like kind of sweaty, still red from just teaching a water aerobics class, but like, and it was extraordinary.
Yeah, what happened?
Oh, I reconnected with the group that I did an event with back in April, and it opened us up into doing a collaboration, and they ended up carrying our product on with their delivery service. And it's just created a genuine friendship, all just from me getting out of that car. It also allowed me to talk to some of the lawyers there too, and really started to get an idea of where and what the lawsuit was going to look like, and how it was kind of playing out. So it was powerful. It was a super powerful event that
I went for the queso. I went for the queso.
Yeah.
No.
So
it was cool.
Yeah.
It was cool. And, I think, thank you for sharing the level of vulnerability there, because everybody listening has been in a situation where they didn't want to go into an event. If you're in business, if you're an entrepreneur, you're out and about, you're going to these things, you're meeting different groups, different people, different organizations. Most of us support some cause, and maybe we're getting into a new cause or a new charity, and we just don't know the organizers or the people or whatever it is. You're probably in a situation where you've not walked into that event. Or you're in a situation where it's 4:00, the event's at 5, you're a little tired, you kind of had a shitty day, and you didn't go to the event that night. And every single time that I have pushed myself to walk in, every single time I've pushed myself to get off the chair after a long shitty day, or feel like I've been getting beat up, or I lost this. I mean, shit, I remember I went to an event and someone was going to pay $15,000 to sponsor one of my events, and they called me right before and said that they weren't going to sponsor it. And I already started to put some stuff in motion because I want to get ahead of it, I want to provide value, and I was just bummed. I was so bummed. And I went to this event because I was like, you know what, I just don't want to be in this situation. I'm like angry, but I'm sad, and it's like, and like, so I'm like, okay, let me just go and just go, and if it sucks, I'll leave. And I showed up, and I ended up meeting someone, and then they ended up buying a sponsorship package and referring 3 VIP tickets, which was almost the same exact amount of money I would have gotten.
Yeah, right. Ooh, yeah.
And it's every time I've done that.
Yep.
And then on the back end, the times that I haven't, I'm like, oh shit, so-and-so was at that event. I've been trying to run into so-and-so. I wish I went, right? Because you ain't going to that event, but you damn well checking those photos the next day. Like, who was there? Yeah. Was it dope? Did I miss anything? But to the person listening, like, just go. Yeah. Just show up. Yeah. And show up with an open mind and an open heart. And I think that's a big thing that people forget is An open mind is like, okay, I'm just going to check it out and see, and I'm not tied to anything and I'm open, right? But like an open heart is like going in and saying, hey, I'm here. Let's create some positive impact. Like, who can I help? Who can I
Yeah.
connect? And then in those moments, like, it just comes pouring back in.
And I would even ask myself, like, what would make this event fun for me? And then bring that. Like,
I also told someone more recently, one of my consulting clients, that was like, oh, I don't know, and I said, what's the worst that can happen? You go and grab some content, right? We all got the cell phone these days. And here's the thing, the host is going to be there. Well, guess what? Most of the time, the host is the one that's attracting everybody. So if you really think about this from a strategy standpoint, from a marketing, sales, whatever, if you go, the host has to be there. They're throwing the event.
Yeah.
If no one's around, now you have an opportunity, or if there's not a lot of people or you didn't connect with anybody, now you have an opportunity to connect directly with the host. There's less people at the event. And also from a business and strategy and strategic standpoint, is they probably know the most people because they're the conduit that's pulled and attracted everybody into the event.
Yeah.
Now, there's events where people pay a sales team and they don't know anybody walking in the door and they didn't talk to anybody and they have an event team and they're just kind of a figure, like, and that's fine, you can do that and that's great, but most of the time they're going to engage in a conversation and they're going to want to connect to you because the success of their event depends on the success of the attendees. Right? So if you go into an event and you realize, oh, the success of us depends on the success of their event, that will help you go address that person and have a conversation with them and maybe even ask if you need a resource or a connection or an opportunity. And the worst is you take a photo with that person, you have someone shoot a quick little video of you engaging in a conversation and you get content, and then you tag that person who attracted all those people to the event in the first place. So you're going to show up on the social and the people that went to the event are going to look on the social. But what did I just say? The people that didn't go to the event are also going to look on their social media, right?
Yeah.
And then the trick is to have them take a photo with their phone and a photo with your phone, so that way they have an opportunity to post it when they go and look in their photos the next day.
Things. Yeah, that's a good
idea.
idea.
Because when they post it, and Instagram just changed this, and you'll see some stuff coming out, but the collaboration feature on Instagram isn't a mutual algorithm anymore. Meaning if you and me took a photo right now and you have more followers than me and I post it, it's not going to get as much reach. So if you post it and request to collaborate with me, it's going to get more reach because you have more followers. That not used to be the case. The beauty of it is this person has 300,000 followers. They just accepted my collaboration, and now it's getting pushed hard to their 300,000, and that's not the case anymore. So anyways, not to go into technical marketing and social media strategies. We'll have an episode around creative vibe marketing in the future with that. But back to showing up for yourself, back to pivoting, back to being an entrepreneur, being in a tough industry, a newer industry, cannabis, the entourage effect, the perception, all the things we've discussed. What's the hardest thing you've faced in being an entrepreneur and growing your business over the last 2 or 3 years? And what did you learn from it so you can share with the audience if they're going through something similar?
Well, I had mentioned it earlier, but I mean, taming the voices inside that believe that it's not attainable. That's why I constantly remind myself that I'm the one creating the expectations and that I'm the one in control. Like, I'm the one creating this. And so that has given me the space to give myself grace, to allow myself to give myself time off, and create what I really designed and wanted this opportunity to create. So all of that is by continuing to confront the voices and the perceptions I have of myself that stop me from even bringing it out into this world, that stop it right here at the door.
It's powerful. It's profound is what that is.
That's what I'm always working on. And I know that I literally am unstoppable.
It's such a um, it's such a deeper concept, I think, than, the idea of imposter syndrome or the idea of the voices in your head and some of these terms that are thrown around in coins. Like the depth of where you can go with this and the depth of overanalyzing or not analyzing enough or no reflection can really bring you into so many different deep pockets. And what I've
Yeah.
learned is with like what you were just saying just struck a chord with me, and you just brought back a memory of 2023 where you're like, I get to create this and I control this, and I always want to make it what I wanted it always to be. It reminded me of the conference in 2023 when I literally had to just stop and be like, we're not doing that. That's not what I want to do, to someone on my team. And I had to explain it, and we went into it, but I was like, we're not going to do that.
Yeah.
And it was just a full pushback. I also had someone I hired and paid $18,000 that year that told me we shouldn't do certain things that I wanted to do from the original business plan. Even though I was paying that person, they just didn't want to do it.
Yeah.
And it was like, no. And so what I ended up doing is I ended up doing it. And one of those things was calling all 350 people that attended the event to ask them what they need, what they're struggling with, who I can connect them with, and how I can show up best to provide positive impact. And that actually is the unique selling proposition of impact effect. And the biggest thing that we push out from a marketing perspective, because we do care, we do want to know. You are getting a call from the creator. You are getting a call from the team. We are following up. We do want to build this for what you need as the consumer, not for what I think you need or not for what Jim Morris needs. And it's those things, that is really tough. That is really tough.
Yeah.
Because people say, oh, you're controlling or you're narcissistic. Like people have all these comments because it's not what they want. And the reality of it is the fucking business doesn't exist if you didn't decide to take a massive risk one day and have this idea that's been building and growing. And don't get me wrong, with those people's help, because you can't do it alone.
No.
But we've also got to realize, and this is a shout out to the founders, the co-founders, and it's going to piss some people off. It may be controversial, but the fact of the matter is most of these people wouldn't have that job if that person didn't take that risk or mature that idea. Period. Period. Now, could someone else done it? Yes. Could they have worked with someone else? Yes. Is that culture better? Is that pay better? Maybe, maybe not.
Yeah.
But the reality is are you happy? And are you working in this job or for this company? Yes. Well, that wouldn't have happened without a founder taking that risk.
Yeah.
We forget that sometimes as founders.
Yeah. What your share really got me present to is that I stand to create a human-based organization. And so, again, I've looked at collaboration and idea sharing. Like, again, I realize the limitations, again, of what this vessel can do. And so it's really, I think, important for me too, as I've been able to even just grow and expand, is people truly being enrolled in what we're doing. And that is,
And enrollment isn't just money. Enrollment isn't.
no, I haven't paid hardly any of them money. Like these are people that are working with me, giving up their time, and I might send them a jar of jam or two here and there. Like these are people though that truly see me and what we're standing for so much that they believe it and make it their own.
Yeah.
And that is how, again, I see the expansion of this company. And that is how I see, though, when I'm bringing people on to help continue to expand and grow, is that it's the individuals that truly see that connection that we are making and having with other people, that we are a human-centered company, that we're an entity in this world and in this space. And so that doesn't mean that, again, that the delivery of that will always be but what I do believe is that I now as a leader have the ability to have conversations that continue to create unity and workability alongside other humans to be able to grow this company and this idea.
Wow, it's brilliant. It's brilliant. Thank you for being on the podcast today. I really appreciate
Thank you.
it.
Thank you for having me.
This
This
was
has been
fun.
fun. Yeah.
This was fun.
Yeah.
And thank you for sharing that and being vulnerable. And for the listeners, where can they go buy a jar of jam and try this right now?
Yeah. Our website is officialletsjam.com. We currently have 3 flavors available. We have Christmas jam, strawberry, and blackberry. All of our products are full spectrum. And so that does mean it's very CBD loaded, but there is low levels of THC, and you have some of those other friends like CBN, CBG that are sprinkled in there too. So
Wonderful. I'd go with the strawberry for sure. It's
yes,
delicious.
yes, yes.
Well, thank you for being here, Cassie,
Thank
and
you.
thank you for listening to this episode of the Impact Effect podcast, and we'll see you soon.